Alright, what's going on, guys? Jeff here, back again with another video. So today, we're going to be talking about why Russia actually invaded Ukraine. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people already know the base reason why. But what I want to be talking about today is why would Russia do that economically? Okay, because when we're in a war scenario, no countries actually want to be in a war scenario because chances are you're not going to really be making anything out of it. But for Russia, it actually is a little bit different for Russia. Okay, so for people who do not know why the US, the UK, Japan, Germany, Singapore, all these countries are actually imposing sanctions upon Russia, is because Russia currently holds $500 billion dollars in general in foreign exchanges. That's basically Russia's war chest. Okay, $500 billion in the cash equivalent. So it could be in your USD bonds, it could be in your euros, your pounds, your yuan, and such. Okay, all these are just just spread across everywhere. Okay, $500 billion. Okay, and then Russia also have a $130 billion in gold. And finally, the biggest one of them all, 80 billion barrels of oil. Okay, so now to give you guys now that you guys have this kind of breakdown. Okay, first of all, the reason why all the countries are actually imposing sanctions on Russia right now is because it makes sense. They want to cripple the $500 billion that Russia do have. Okay, that's fair. Okay, and I'm right now. I just wanna let you guys know. First of all, okay, I'm not trying to be insensitive about this entire situation. I'm not try to talk about the money side of things, where I know that lives are actually at stake. People are dying. I don't want to just be talking about the money wise, even though that people are dying. But I just want to bring light to this issue because the things that at the end of the day, this is a finance channel, and I do want to explain some of the things in a more economical way. Okay, and by no means do I hope that this war continues because, of course, it's horrible. Okay, this whole situation is horrible, and I do like my heart goes out to Ukraine. But yeah, let's just talk more about Russia's war chest. All right, so 80 billion barrels of oil. Okay, right now we are actually looking at oil prices at about $104. It actually went up to $105 yesterday at the highest, at the peak of the peak, $105 per barrel. Okay, so you're actually looking at almost $8 trillion. Would it be $8 trillion? There would be 10 would be 800 billion, 100 would be 8 trillion. You're looking at $8 trillion in just oil. Okay, that is 24% increase since the war started. Okay, and then on top of that, let's not forget, okay, gold prices increased 13% since the pre-war till today. That's 13% increment on the $130 billion worth of gold that Russia do have. So in the grand scheme of things, you might think that Russia is kind of being barbaric. Russia just wants to ensure that Ukraine do not join NATO. But at the grand scheme of things, if you actually look into the Russian war chest of things, it's actually quite crazy because it makes sense for Russia to do what they're doing. They probably planned it for quite some time. If anything, I would assume that the cash equivalent is one of their smallest is one of their smaller portfolio, if you want to put it that way. It really make more sense for them to be like, you know what, if you guys want to sanction Russia, go for it. I don't need my 500 billion. And of course, the sanctions kind of went even higher and higher because it went with more, not just your usual foreign transfer sanctions. It comes down to a banning of the SWIFT exchange as well. It came with flight banning of flights into and out of Russia. That's all gonna be crippling Russia even more. But all these are what I call short-term losses for Russia, because if we actually look at it from a, say, I don't know, 5 years perspective, I don't really see Russia really being that affected by all these sanctions. Because unless in this short 5 years, Russia suddenly turned out to be the next North Korea, they just kind of cordon themselves off away from the world, then this might be a long-term kind of thing. But I don't think Russia want to do that. Because if Russia want to do that, then they have to do all the way to Belarus, and then they have to recreate the whole Soviet Union all over again. But this one will be the new Soviet Union with a lot lesser members in there. Okay, and high chance they are not able to get Ukraine into this Soviet Union either. Of course, this is provided if Zelensky do not die and Russia is not, Putin is not able to put a puppet government into, hold on, oh yeah, and that's also provided that Putin is not able to put a puppet government into the Ukraine, and then eventually just move them over to the Soviet Union, the future Soviet Union, if they were to create a Soviet Union again. Yeah, so my thoughts is that basically if that's not happening, where Russia do not intend to cordon themselves off from the world like what North Korea is doing, this short-term sanctioning will not really affect them that much. And that's the crazy thing. Okay, as much as you want to sanction Russia as much as you can, right now there's nothing you can do. And if anything, Russia is the one with all the oil. Okay, there was a news where US, Germany, and I think like 4 other countries coming out to say that, all right, we are going into our national reserve and we are going to be bringing out 60 million barrels. 60 million barrels, okay? Russia owns 80 billion barrels. It is like it is not even on the same level, okay? 60 million barrels. Russia owns 80 billion barrels. And that's why I do think that it's kind of weird that, I even made a tweet of, okay, I'm not a tweet. I made an Instagram post about it. If you're not following me on Instagram, right here, okay, at @onhauser, I posted and saying that, I don't think this is even barely enough, because in US alone, they're using about 19 million barrels a month. And that's just in US. Okay, we are not really counting the rest of the world. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, globally they use up about 130 million barrels a month, which is why 60 million barrels is not even gonna suffice for even a month for the entire world in terms of the reserve. But of course, I do understand, because the thoughts is there. 60 million is gonna let you kind of brave the storm a little bit, and hopefully in the next 10, 20 days, this entire thing is gonna blow over. Brent oil, WTI is all gonna go down. Okay, hopefully crude oil goes down to about $85-$90 a barrel again. Hopefully that's the case. But yeah, but even then, right now it's $104. Okay, pre-war it was $83. This is 24% increase in their portfolio. Okay, and of course it would kind of make sense for Russia to kind of want to wage war. Okay, it's almost like, for example, if I'm this huge hedge fund and I'm shorting stock A, I'm gonna go on every mainstream media to tell you how stock A or the company A is bad and why you should sell the stocks in company A. So it kind of makes sense. I feel that this kind of makes sense in the grand scheme of things for Russia. But of course, like I said before, it's not a good thing that war is our method for you to actually earn money. Of course, I do understand that a lot of people do think that, let's not forget, Russia is also putting in a lot of expenses into their budget for their military offenses and their defenses, your tanks, your missiles, your troops and such. All these are going to cost money. True, I do get that. But you have to understand that in the short term of things, Russia planned for a quick attack. Russia planned to invade Ukraine, get Kiev and possibly Kharkiv in 3 days or 4 days. Russia is not expecting a full-out occupation. Russia is not expecting a 2 weeks, 4 weeks war. Okay, they are not expecting that. They are expecting a quick invasion, kill off Zelensky, put a puppet government, and then done. This will be part of this Ukraine is going to be part of Russia already. That was Russia's point of view. So in Russia's risk assessment, possibly before they did this, before they actually went ahead with this invasion, they probably did some form of risk assessment, and they just thought, like we probably take about 4 days, 5 days max. So do you think we can maybe just try to like do a speed run of this invasion? And if they actually succeeded in that 3 to 4 days, I can tell you, honestly speaking, Russia is going to make a lot of money. A lot of money. And let's not forget, on the first day of the invasion, which is on Thursday, okay, when the first invasion happened, you saw that the stocks market, okay, you saw that futures basically just went down like crazy, okay? But upon market open, everything immediately went up. But the reason why everything went up was because from the media itself, you saw that a lot of the Western countries actually came out to stand up for Ukraine. I'll bet you do not see US saying that, oh, you know what, we're going to send our troops down to Ukraine to fight. Of course, we're not saying that that were the case. Because if that would have happened, that's a whole nother story, okay? But we saw that all the Western countries were a lot more sane about it. No one wanted to trigger a World War III. All the US, UK, all of them are basically just throwing out sanctions. So for the retail traders or institutional traders in general in the market, we are thinking like, it didn't make sense for us to really worry so much, because chances are no one wants a World War III, and no one is really trying to fight towards a World War III either. Okay, so if that's the case, the market is most likely going to be better. And also, let's not forget, because the things that a lot of countries, they are kind of just imposing sanctions out the way instead of sending their troops over, which is also at the same time crippling Russia's advances into Ukraine, which is a very, very good thing. And because of this happening, it kind of makes sense for people to be like, you know what, if that's the case, there's a good chance that Ukraine might be able to have a fighting chance. Russia is not going to win for sure. And if this happens, if this is a prolonged situation, Russia don't really have much to win out of this. And chances are Russia will eventually have to kind of step back and kind of like go back to their country, that kind of thing. And this gave a lot of investors a lot of the courage to actually buy more into the market, invest more into the market, as we kind of have more of this better scenario. But of course, at the same time, I think, especially with what happened yesterday at Kharkiv, and also what's gonna possibly be happening in Kiev as well, was that Russia actually said that they are going to be blowing up a intelligence center in Kiev. And that's a heavy civilian ground, and they are actually giving prior warning to all the civilians to actually get out, evacuate the area as fast as they can, because if they were to be over at Kiev's facilities when they are sending the missiles, then it will be imminent for civilians to be affected when the missile actually hit. And I don't think that that's an empty threat. Okay, honestly speaking, after what happened at Kharkiv, I don't think that what Russia is going to be talking about Kiev is going to be an empty threat. And because of that, this whole situation kind of makes investors a little bit scared again. Because, of course, at the same time, let's not forget, because Zelensky kind of went ahead to European Union to go and sign for the registration for European Union, which I honestly think is not that good of an idea, but not war advice, okay? And because of that, I would think that Russia would kind of want to attack even more. Russia is now even more aggravated and be like, oh, I don't want you to go to NATO, and now you went to EU. It's like, because the reason why Putin is so against Ukraine or Zelensky in general is because Zelensky is kind of westernized, is a westernized government. He believes more in the US, the UK, the European side of things. Whereas for Putin and Belarus, they believe more in the Soviet Union, the more Russia side of things. And Russia basically, Putin basically wants to get Ukraine back into the Russia side of things, which is why this whole fight is basically about this. Okay, and yeah, I mean, so that's gonna be the situation for that's gonna be the situation for how it is, which is why I can see investors being a little bit more being a little bit more cautious in the market, especially when Putin is making more of these threats, because there will come a time when Putin completely destroy Ukraine to the point where the other countries cannot stand by it and have to step in. And I would think that it's more towards the Syria and Afghanistan kind of situation where they eventually just US will just eventually just be like, you know what, I cannot just continue looking at this I cannot let this continue on. US will eventually just step in instead. Of course, I'm not sure if US is going to do that, but there is a high chance that US is going to just step in if that's going to be coming down to that case. I do sincerely think that that would be the case. But yeah, and if that were to happen, then this entire war chest scenario out the window, because let's be honest, we expected Russia, if we put ourselves in Russia's shoe, we expect this invasion to last 4 days, 5 days max. And if this is going to go all the way to two weeks or even 3 weeks, if this turns out to be an occupation that doesn't end, and then they have to end up fighting US, is gonna be even worse. And yeah, Russia's not gonna get anything out of it. If anything, they're gonna have a huge loss out of it, and even their foreign exchange sanctions might stay. The imposed sanctions against them might stay throughout for a very, very long time, because I don't see it. If that were to be the case, if they really fight an all-out war, I do not see an escape for Russia at all. And then that will be basically World War III. So yeah, those are kind of like my worries about how this entire thing will come out to be. But okay, anyway, that's what I have for the whole Russia, Ukraine, what Russia actually have to really get economically from this entire war. But thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys at the market open video later. Bye.